at an interesting question from a viewer. How do we, the people, counter disinformation about guns from various organizations?
These are weapons of war. Researchers estimate that if the assault weapons ban were in effect, there would be 70% less deaths by mass shootings. So this would have been a significant impact over the last many years.
Now, before I answer this, let me let you know that we have a gun giveaway going on. It's happening right now, but it ends really soon. You can enter absolutely free. Just click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. We are in the midst of active information campaigns being waged by lobbying groups, governments, and media actors to shape public perceptions and narratives. It will ultimately influence the electoral and legislative landscape. War is an extension of politics, and it would be naive to think that we are in anything other than an information war. These active measures span the spectrum from overt paid campaigns and genuine pleas from advocates across the political spectrum to seeded news stories and fabrications. The anti-gun crowd regularly claims the moral and intellectual high ground, but we know they don't feel compelled to be honest in this discussion. You will be able to use the following as a resource to help you detect and counter anti-gun talking points and amplify our side of the story in this public discussion. In an organized information campaign, the goal is to push your side of the story to the audience and to degrade the opposing side's reach and credibility by sowing doubt and division. It helps to understand three common tools of information campaigns: disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. Disinformation is messaging spread with deliberate intent to deceive. To work disinformation needs reach and credibility. People have to see the message and find it believable. Misinformation is false information shared without intent to mislead. Imagine an unwitting victim sharing a fake news story, unintentionally building its reach and credibility. People do this all the time on social media without realizing it. Malinformation is true, but normally private information revealed to harm an adversary's reputation. These messages include leaks and hidden recordings of the victim. Trickery might seem appealing, but the most powerful weapons in messaging campaigns tend to be true and compelling stories. The anti-gun lobby and media groups have advanced a strategy to make the pro-gun community appear crazy, dangerous, and paranoid. They exploit tragedies to make us appear callous, reckless, and tone deaf. By consistently pressing these narrative points, the anti-gun advocates have tried to drive a wedge between our community and the rest of the country. They want us out on the fringe and out of the discussion. We can drive ourselves crazy identifying all the inaccurate news reports about guns. They are easy to spot, and I've addressed in the past how those opposed to guns deceptively frame and distort statistics to make the problem sound worse than it is. Johns Hopkins University awkwardly inserted Michael Bloomberg's last name in front of its School of Public Health's name, and he just so happens to be the outspoken advocate for gun control. The school undoubtedly mass produces slanted academic research on gun violence that will conveniently align with its arguments. We've addressed the blatant logical fallacies that anti-gunners have used to mislead the public. You can probably think of 3 or 4 examples of those misleading claims right now. A classic example when Bloomberg's Every Town for Gun Safety exaggerated the number of school shootings in 2016. A lie so bald that even the Washington Post cried foul. But we don't want to get sucked into a quagmire of endless fact-checking, partly because even commenting on misleading posts can help give it the click traffic it needs to reach a wider audience. The best counter tactic is to advance our side of the story in a meaningful, approachable, and credible way. When you see claims that the Sandy Hook Elementary School mass murder was somehow faked, or that a kid in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School was a paid actor, know that the anti-gun crowd salivates at stories like that. These stories get signal boosted by the opposition because they're opportunities to break the pro-gun community's public credibility. We must always be cognizant of the fact that we are in an information and message contested environment. The other side probably isn't going to fake a school shooting. They don't have to. Their messaging is already primed for the next attack. We have to advance our side of the narrative. We have to capture and share images of how positive guns are in the community. We need to tell stories about how guns work as equalizers and fail-safes for women, marginalized persons, disaster victims, and people with disabilities. We need to share details of how hard sportsmen work to keep wild lands wild. We need to talk about hunters donating their meat for food banks. And we need to make sure as many people as possible hear about actual successful defensive gun uses. You have the power in this fight. You can like and share tales of inspiring women in the shooting sports world. McKenna Gear, Ginny Thrasher, Julie Golub come to mind on social media platforms. All of this builds our credibility and helps close the gap the anti-gunners are trying to force between our community and the rest of the country. The truth is powerful. Our stories are powerful. We are faced with a challenge to lead the rest of our community in this democracy, and to do that well, we need credibility and reach. You're pulled over by the police and you're carrying concealed. Do you need to do anything special in this scenario? Like tell the officer you have a gun. Click this video right next to me and I'll break down that scenario step by step on what you should do.